Welcome to Roll for Geekiness and another episode of the deck Brewers Cauldron, the series where we talk about some of our favorite Magic the Gathering decks and the cards and combos that make them tick. I'm Jonathan, and I'm excited to be back. As I mentioned at the beginning of our newest video a couple of weeks ago, we saw our viewership of this series take off while we took some time off. But what was confusing to us was the very small number of likes and comments that we received on those videos. So honestly, we're not entirely sure if you're actually enjoying this new content and would like to see more of it. I don't want to sound like everyone else who's begging you to like, comment, and subscribe, but even just doing one of those tells us that you like what we're creating and want more. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about something a little different. One of my Pauper Commanders, Killian, Ink Duelist. But before I get into it, in case you aren't familiar, Pauper Commander is limited to entirely commons with the exception of your commander, who can be any uncommon creature. This is because the format came about before there were really enough uncommon legendaries to choose from. While I'm not advocating for any change to that, I do prefer to build my PDH decks with an uncommon legendary in the command zone so that I can still play this deck in any commander pod. While it won't generally stand up to most power level 6 or better decks, it will roll just fine with modified precons and the like. Alright, now we can get into the deck. On guard! Killian Ink Duelist cost a white and a black for a 2/2 human warlock with lifelink and menace. He also says, spells you cast that target a creature cost 2 less to cast. That ability is really broad, and it lets me build this deck out in 2 different directions, targeting my opponent's creatures and targeting my own. That cost reduction also makes a lot of these types of spells, which at common rarity may not be the best costed for their effects, much more playable. On the one hand, that's cards like Bleed Dry, Contract Killing, Deadly Derision, Expel, Feed the Serpent, Grim Bounty, Liturgy of Blood, Repel the Darkness. And on the other, it's auras like Abzan Runemark, Asha's Favor, Grisly Transformation, Candlelight Vigil, Marked by Honor, Mammoth Umbra, Necromancer's Mage Mark. You may have gotten the sense that with all these auras, I'm leaning into a Voltron strategy. That is to say, stacking up a lot of buffs on Killian and attempting to swing for lethal damage. And typically that's true. Though a Crowan Skyguard, Laguna Band Trailblazer, and Wingsteed Rider are also in here as fun creatures to buff up. But putting all of my eggs in one basket means that I want to protect that with cards like Beaming Defiance, Dark Dabbling, Soul Channeling, Survive the Night, Unholy Indenture, and what better way to get stuff back if I do lose it than Auramancer, Ironclad Slayer, Lotus Eye Mystics, and Monk Idealist. With most of my spells so much cheaper, thanks to Killian, I've also added a lot of card draw so that I can try to keep some gas in the tank. Many of my spells even have draw a card tacked right onto what they're doing. But on top of that, Killian's lifelink means that I can also happily play Blood Pact, Night's Whisper, Painful Lesson, Read the Bones, and Sign in Blood. Heliod's Pilgrim and Totem Guide Heartbeast are also essentially tutors. There are so many good cards for this deck that have been printed at common. A lot of the cards that I mentioned earlier are ones that become good with Killian's cost reduction, and I skipped over ones that are already good, like Ethereal Armor, Lauren's Escape, and Phyresis. So check out the full deck list on Architect linked below. If you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. Or leave a comment below. Do you play Pauper? Or do you want to give it a try now? Let us know. Or maybe you just got a story to share about our friend, Killian.